for September 22nd, 2022 at 6 o'clock. Commissioners Rose, Dean, David, Zayal, Stearns, Glader, and Levine are present. Just want to check to see if anyone believes that this particular issue, the comprehensive plan update, has any kind of conflict of interest. Seeing none, I think we're not. Today we're here to really address case number ORA 22-0003, Fire District and EMS impact fees, which really what we're doing is updating the comprehensive plan to allow the county to implement the proposed fire district impact fees should the county commissioners wish to do so. So we're not actually approving the impact fees, we're just updating the comprehensive plan to make it possible. We're going to do the normal procedures for public hearings. Director Callahan will kick it off with a brief overview of the proposed changes, answer any questions we have. Then we'll turn it over to public comments. Once all the public comments have been received, we'll close that portion of it and then move into deliberations. So I'd like to officially open up the public hearing for ORA 22-003, Fire District and EMS System Impact Fees, and ask Director Callahan to kick it off.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. The item before you has four things in your packet: an ordinance, a resolution, a new element R, an insert into the comprehensive plan, and capital improvement and impact fees appendix. So the appendix and element R are what you will be actually making a motion on tonight. The other two items are for your information and will be exactly what's in front of the County Board of County Commissioners, So with that, I think we briefed you on this several times in workshop. I have nothing to add, but Ann Westcott is on Zoom, and I'll turn it over to Ann to run through things she wanted to cover this evening. Ann?
Thank you, David. Is my screen shared? Yes, it is. Look at that. Okay. I did just want to go over some of the pieces that we had talked about before for the benefit of the public. Let me get this out of the way here. All right. So we obviously are talking about all of the fire districts within Kootenai County. Worley Fire will be doing this process a little bit later. But we are, this includes Eastside, Hauser Lake, Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, Micah Kid Island, Northern Lake, Spirit Lake, and Timberlake Fire District, as well as Kootenai County Emergency Medical Services System. So we know that impact fees are needed in order to ensure that we can provide the same level of service as growth occurs. So the first thing we do is calculate what the current level of service is. And in this slide here, you have, now I can't see my slide. Sorry. In this slide here, you will see that you have your current population. We identify the current capital assets that each of these fire and EMS districts have in order to provide their level of service. My goodness, I have things popping up all over my computer. I'm sorry. And this is the current level of service here that is provided, the number of minutes it takes each of these districts to respond to a call. And this is the amount that residents and non-residential development within the county have paid into these assets over time to be able to deliver this level of service. But we're really talking about how we're going to serve projected growth. And these are growth figures. This study has been done over the last 12 months. So these were growth figures that we had for these studies. And you can see the growth rate averages out for the whole county at about 40% over 10 years. There's a difference among different parts of the county. And that, therefore, they will have different needs. So you can see in this slide, each of the fire districts, we've identified the total value of their 10-year capital improvement plans, as well as EMS. We've identified that not all capital improvements are impact fee eligible, only the amount in this column. So out of $83 million that's going to need to be spent in the next 10 years to continue to provide capital for fire and EMS, about half of it is because of growth. And you can see over here, we've taken the amount of the impact fee, the amount of the capital for that's impact fee eligible, divided it by the growth that's coming, and we end up with these fees. Now, as we said, these fees are not what you are voting on tonight. You're really talking about these capital plans. And so in your packets and available for the public are all of the capital improvement plans for each of the fire and EMS districts. They all include facilities, apparatus, and equipment that are going to be needed to continue their response times. For East Side, you have one for Hauser Lake. Computer is just not working tonight. So Hauser Lake, you have, sorry, my computer is just dead, so I'm just going to go back to the old-fashioned way of talking, because I think you all have this in your packets anyway. You have all of this capital improvement plans for each of those fire and EMS districts. And again, we are asking, as the chair so beautifully put, for you to amend the comprehensive plan to allow the Board of County Commissioners to consider adopting and collecting these fees on behalf of those districts so that they can begin to make sure that they are not subsidizing growth with existing taxpayers. I stand for any questions. Looks like my computer did come back.
Any questions so far? One of the things that I think you may recall that when Ann reviewed this package with us previously, she explained that this was the work of a committee made up of several different people to come up with that, with the numbers and the projections and all that. And we were asked to make sure that we believed that the methodology that they used to determine the proposed fees made sense to us and was consistent with the law that the state has established for this. So we're not actually approving the numbers per se, but we were approving the process used to come up with this. And my understanding, and that the committee continually will be evaluating these numbers, and each year could be lowering it or raising it depending on the capital improvement plans and the growth. Is that a correct statement?
Mr. Chair, that is correct, and I should clarify that each one of the fire districts had its own development impact fee advisory committee, 5 members each. So we had 40 people within the county who were involved in these conversations, developers, builders, real estate, taxpayers, and all of them would vet each of the pieces of information. And you're correct, they will continue to review how the money is being spent, that it's consistent with state law, and help the fire districts revise, make recommendations to revise those capital plans as growth might change.
Thank you. So anyone have any additional questions? Barry? Okay, you're on.
As I tried to clarify earlier on, this is tied to population growth to a specific number. And we went through this before, not that we will this time, but if there's a slowdown in the population growth, and those numbers are adjusted accordingly based on the needs and on the population growth itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mr. Commissioner, that's exactly right. We only have our best knowledge of today as to what growth will look like, and certainly we will not be exactly on the nose. And so that's one of the things that the advisory committee will do with us every year. We'll reevaluate actual building permit data and make sure that our capital improvement plan continues to be proportionately related to the actual growth in the county.
Okay, anything else? Oh, Deborah?
Hi, Ann, it's Commissioner Rose. If we see a big drop in in growth in our area, and the fire districts and EMS have already anticipated, so much money coming in and budgeted for it and plan on buying equipment, et cetera, with that money, and they don't get that revenue coming in from, because the growth is not there as projected, can they then, or will they then pass on those costs to the current residents? Or is there not a provision for them, be able to do that?
Commissioner, that's an excellent question. The beauty of impact fee math is that we create a relationship between every house and the amount of capital it needs. So if you are growing more slowly than we anticipated, they are bringing in money more slowly, and that's kind of their tip-off that they can't go ahead and buy things, that were years out on their capital improvement plan. But they'll want to continue to monitor actual growth and build stations as that growth demands, so that we can grow slower or faster. If we grow faster than we anticipate, more building permits will be pulled, more revenue will come in, they'll build out that CIP faster, and the inverse is also true. In no case would they be relying on taxpayers to subsidize it. It's important that the fire commissioners, and they know this, not expend impact fee dollars until they have them, or at least have general fund dollars that they've already put in reserve to cover any risks that they may incur.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Okay, what we'll do now is move into the public comment phase. As a reminder for the people in the audience who want to speak today, we provide about 5 minutes for each person to provide feedback for us. We asked everybody to provide their name and address for the public record. If there's a specific part of the case, specific part of the comprehensive plan that you want to address, it would be helpful to let us know which piece of it. If it's a general comment, that's fine. We will listen. It's more of a comment, not a dialogue. If we do have questions, we may follow up, but where we really don't have a Q&A, it's more just a comment period. So I'm going to open up the public comment period, and I think Director Callahan has a couple of cards, and we'll start from there, and then we'll go to the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 4 cards here from people that are all in favor and all do not wish to speak. So I'm not going to actually read their names into the record unless you want me to. And I see 2 people on Zoom that may possibly want to speak when you're ready to open it up for the Zoom level.
Yeah, why don't we open up the Zoom now, and we can
Sure.
always go back.
Well, in that case, I see Chelsea Torgerson and Chief Niels. If either of you want to comment at this time, just unmute yourself and go ahead. Chelsea says no thank you by typing in. Chief Niels, did you want to comment? Apparently not.
Anyone else on Zoom, please?
That's it for Zoom.
Okay. Anyone in the audience would like to speak? Why not?
Hello, Daniel Hansen.
Here. Mr. Mills, you don't need to do anything in particular, just talk.
Daniel Hansen, Hanson, 4195 South Cloudview, all one word, Drive, Coeur d'Alene, 83814. Good evening, Commissioners. Dan Hansen. I'm a commissioner for Micah Kid Island, our Subdistrict 1, which is basically the east side of 95, Kid Island Bay, Harborview Estates, Eagle Crest, Stevens Point, that area. Been a commissioner for about 4 years now. And I kind of want to bring home a little local flavor for you. I mean, you know, Ann's doing a great job with all the big numbers. I kind of want to narrow it down just to our district so you get a little flavor of what we're dealing with. And as you know, as assessed value goes up, the levy rate goes down to kind of keep that original number in the budget. Yes, we get to get our 3% every year, but it's not keeping up with costs. Our district formed probably kind of new, but I've heard about 20 to 25 years ago, and the levy rate then was 0.98. As our district has gone up in assessed value, our levy rate this year is 0.29. So you can see how much that's gone down. And yes, we do get our 3% per year, but it's not keeping up with the price of doing business. Our call load has gone up approximately 10 times since the district first formed. When it was a volunteer fire district when it first formed. We do now have career firefighters, 1 per shift. So 1 is better than maybe you get 1, maybe you don't. A volunteer system, and you guys know how that works. Yeah, the price of doing business is going up. Call volume has increased. And just a couple of examples of things. We have a 20-year-old fire engine. That's our first out fire engine, our first due piece of equipment. And we just found out the water tank's broken. We can't patch it. They got to put in a new water tank at $25,000. We have 4 to 6 air packs, the air packs that the firefighters wear on their backs, that are timing out. 4 of them have timed out. 2 of them, they have a shelf life, basically. You can't get parts. So I'll leave it at that. But we got 4 to 6 that are timing out at $15,000 each. We have to have them. We have radios that once the county decides what radio system they're going to go with, we're going to have to buy new radios at, depending on the model and the make, they're anywhere from, what would you say, guys, around 10 grand a piece, maybe a little bit more, 10 to 15 grand a piece. That's the little walkie-talkies, you know, turnouts, you know, the ensemble that we wear to fight fire with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I talk to my district residents, especially, I live in Harborview Estates. They know I'm one of the fire commissioners, and I do attend our local HOA meetings. And the developer impact fee thing has come up, or I bring it up. And when I explain to my constituents what this is, they're like, well, this is a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you do that? So I am encouraging you, when you talk to the commissioners, is to tell them how important this is. If they want this level of service to continue, we have to do this. We are at kind of that point in the budget. We have our budget. We have increased our level of service because we have to, because the call load has gone up, because the population has gone up. That we're getting at that real close point where it's equipment we need to have respond or not. Staffing, yes, or staffing, no. So I want to encourage you to push this through as strongly as possible. I mean, it's for all of us. This is one of those things that it's essentially a tax, a fee, call it what you want, but it's aimed at us. It's our local thing. It's not going off to Boise. It's not going off to DC. It's staying in our community. And so I highly encourage you to do whatever you can to push this through. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other people in the audience? If not, and no one else is on Zoom,
No one
okay?
else on Zoom.
Would someone like to make a motion to close the public hearing for ORA 22-003?
I will.
Okay, Commissioner Rose has made a motion to close the public hearing. Second. Is that Barry? Okay, Barry. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, the public hearing is closed, and now we'll move into deliberations. I think the first thing, obviously, is any questions that you have before you could actually make a decision. This is the time to ask it. I do think, again, one of the things that we did not address, and I'll just, you know my passion for the comprehensive plan, that our comprehensive plan was very clear that development should pay for their proportionate share for infrastructure. And this particular change to the comprehensive plan will support policies that we have, will support that. If we approve this, it just is a natural addition to what we already have today on that. As Barry has talked about several times, and Deborah asked the similar question, is this is not, the numbers that they use are adjusted up and down depending on what happens. And while some may wish we had this back in 2011, 12, or 13, the fact of the matter is we don't know what the future is, but this gives the commissioners the opportunity to make a decision whether or not they want to implement the impact fees that will compensate for some of the cost or the cost of growth, but not increasing service, just the cost of the growth to keep the constant service. So I want to just open it up to see anybody has any questions, comments. Again, we've talked about this several times, so I think some of the issues have been answered. Paul?
We've talked about it several times. I don't think I have
Okay.
any questions.
Barry?
Some more of a comment. It's not a taxation, obviously, and I think that was probably what you're trying to or alluding to. This is tied directly to the permitting process for new construction, and it really does tie back in. I can see by the attendance or even on Zoom that this is not a problem with the building community that I've heard, that building does want to pay for itself. That community is behind that effort, and that's what this particular ordinance will do.
Thank you. Okay, if no one has anything else, we'll go and make a motion. And Pat, I'm assuming we can just make a motion to approve the comprehensive plan capital improvement and impact fee sections as submitted under ORA 22-003.
And the goals, and the draft goals and policies.
Okay,
Element R.
and element R and
Yeah,
appendix.
and all based on the Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee's recommendation.
You want to write this now? All right.
You can skip that last part because the documents reference all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because what I actually.
basically, the new chapter and element.
Right, okay, so a motion to amend the comprehensive plan to incorporate element R.
Yeah.
And updating appendix 3. Or appendix,
with the capital improvement
with the capital improvement
chapter.
chapter.
Sorry.
You could send me the email, Pat. All right, yeah,
Pat, if, I understand this is just a change to the comp plan to allow the commissioners to address this issue.
Yes.
And I also understand that at least some of the cities are not wanting to collect these fees,
Okay.
so,
That's not correct.
okay.
There's a mix. The reluctance of the cities to collect fees has to do with the sheriff's jail and parks and waterways impact fees that the county is proposing. That is separate from this matter, which deals only with fire district and EMS impact fees. The only city has expressed any that has been an issue is Athol.
And that's what I heard from
Yeah,
the
that's,
fellow
but
from
that's,
EMS.
that's the
that said
only
that.
city that's been approached so far. We actually have agreements in place with Post Falls, Rathdrum, and Hayden, the three largest cities that we would be doing this with.
So Athol's the only one, which is what I was told.
To my knowledge, yeah. My understanding is it's going through the process in Spirit Lake, but is expected to pass.
Okay, so there's.
Oh, and Hauser just approved it too, so.
They did, okay. So if they choose not, I mean, if they choose to not be willing, Athol chooses not to be willing to collect, does that mean this is done?
No, we
No.
may need to recalculate. We have two options with that, and Timberlake is the fire district that would be involved. We could either just not collect impact fees anywhere within Timberlake Fire Protection District, or we could have Ann recalculate the capital improvements plan based on, just the needs, growth-related needs within Timberlake Fire District, but outside of the city of Athol. And, that could be complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Ann would be the best one to speak out on that aspect of it. But that is also an option. And what I would do is just, recommend that the commissioners go forward with this. And, if the time comes, we may just delay entering into an intergovernmental agreement with Timberlake until that issue is resolved one way or the other.
Okay, yeah, thank you, because I'd hate to see the whole county
Yeah.
not be able to collect because of
Yeah.
little old Athol. All right, thank you.
Just a quick clarification, and I know Hauser does, but does Athol actually have a permitting process that they have fees associated with, that city?
They don't have a building permit
It's all
code,
through,
to my knowledge.
it's all through the
Right.
county, that's kind of
Right.
what, so I just wanted to clarify. that.
Yeah,
Thank
I mean, I think we could, if Athol desired to collect the fees, I think we could make arrangements, make a workaround work. Whatever that ends up being, if they pay Timberlake directly or whatever, but, I don't see that as necessarily being an impediment, even though that is, where we would collect it everywhere else, everywhere that does enforce building codes.
So that's similar to Hayden Lake, because you do some collections for Hayden Lake, I believe, off their old ACI.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it could be similar.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the element R and the appendix and to the comprehensive plan to support this initiative. I think Deborah made that motion, right? Do we have a second?
I give a second.
Sherry? Okay. We'll do a roll call vote, and this is again an opportunity if you want to say something, or you can just say yay or nay, but if you want to go and explain your vote, that is also acceptable. So I'm going to go and just start with Commissioner Dean.
The answer is yes, and then no further comment.
Okay, Stearns,
Yes,
David,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes, well overdue.
Zayao,
Yes.
and
Yes.
thanks, Paul. And I vote yes, and again, just my only comment again is that this is very well supported by our comprehensive plan. The growth that we have needs to be paid for somehow, and this really is providing the developers and people that move here will pay their proportionate share of it. So I think it's well supported and a good idea. Based on that, we are done. Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So made.
Okay. Commissioner Dean, seconded?
Second.
Okay, Glader. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned, and it's 6:29.
I like those kind of games.